Do you know the difference between a skill damage bonus and a skill damage boost in Rise of Kingdoms? For example, the common inscription Furious says whenever a wielder's troop uses an active skill, it gains an 8% bonus to all types of skill damage dealt for the next 3 seconds. And in contrast to that, we see a rare inscription called Boiling Blood gives the wielder's troop a 2% boost to skill damage dealt. And so you might actually compare this common inscription to the rare inscription and say that the common inscription in some cases might actually be better, because if you have a lot of skill damage on your secondary commander, this is going to increase it by 8%, whereas Boiling Blood is only going to increase it by 2%. So why is this a rare inscription and Furious is only a common inscription? Well, that is exactly what we're going to test in today's video. But first, what's going on, guys? Now, as you guys know, I am a partnered creator with Rise of Kingdoms, which means if you want more Rise of Kingdoms content, definitely subscribe down below and click the thumbs up while you're down there. Helps out the channel a ton. Okay, now the discussion between a skill damage boost and a skill damage bonus was first brought to my attention when the latest accessories first came into the game. As you guys know, we recently got our hands on the Hero's Hilt and the Saddle of 1,000 Blessings, and when I was going over these two new accessories and what they do, I remember some people commenting on my video saying that the power of these accessories is going to depend on whether or not they're giving you a boost or a bonus for both of these, smite damage and combo damage. So okay, that was the first time that I kind of heard about this, right? And I saw over on War Daddy Chadski's channel that he posted a video covering this topic, and honestly he did a really great job explaining the difference between a boost and a bonus. So let me quickly go ahead and show you exactly what we're talking about here. Okay, the fourth skill on Nevsky says he gives you a skill damage bonus. Same thing if you look at the fourth skill on YSG, he gives you a 50% skill damage bonus. Okay, and the one thing that was missing from Chadski's video, he does, again, great explanation, and he shows exactly the different numbers and how a boost versus bonus affects those numbers, but he didn't actually show any test results in that video, right? It was kind of just like a, here's an explanation, this is what this does and this is what that does, and it was very helpful. But for me, I'm more of a trust but verify type of guy, right? Like, especially when it comes to Rise of Kingdoms, I hate taking text as just face value, right? So I decided, okay, at some point I'm going to test that for myself, and that was many weeks ago at this point, and I've been just so busy, and I didn't know if I wanted to make this an entire dedicated video or incorporate it into a video like I posted recently about 13 tips that you didn't know in Rise of Kingdoms. So consider this your bonus 14th tip. Okay, and of course, if you haven't checked out Chadski's channel, do that, and if you missed my 13 tips you didn't know in Rise of Kingdoms, you definitely want to watch that as well. So what is the hypothesis here, right? What is the difference between a boost and a bonus, or at least what are people claiming the difference is between a boost and a bonus? Well, the difference is that a bonus is additive, whereas a boost is multiplicative. And so what this means is your YSG has 50% bonus to skill damage, but he also has a relic, right? If we take a look at the relic over here, he gets another 12% bonus to skill damage. But that's not where things end, because I'm using Twilight Falls. That gives me a 5% bonus to skill damage. And if we take a look at my YSG once again, you'll see that he actually has a formation, and we get a 5% bonus to skill damage here. Now in game, the difference between more skill damage and bonus is nothing. There's no difference. If it says 5% more skill damage, that is a bonus to skill damage. Okay, same thing in your talents here. If you look at tactical mastery, it gives you up to 3% more skill damage, so that is a 3% bonus to skill damage. Okay, so if we do the math, right, we have 50% from YSG's fourth skill, 12% from the relic, so that is 62%, plus we have 5% from my formation, we have 5% from my city skin, and I'm also Ottoman Empire, so we have another 5% from that as well. So okay, 62 plus 15%, in total that is a 77% bonus to skill damage. And now if I come in here and I go ahead and I put Boiling Blood on my YSG, does that make it 79%? No, it does not, because that would be additive, and like I said earlier, a 2% boost to skill damage dealt is multiplicative. So instead of converting this from 77% to 79%, what the game will actually do is it will take your damage factor and it will give you the 77% bonus to that damage factor, and then it will increase the outcome by another 2%. So it's improving the total damage output by 2% rather than just an additional plus 2% within the formula. And the reason that there's a difference there is because there is diminishing returns on more more and more of a single stat, right? We see this a lot, especially before they changed crystal tech. We saw this a lot with bonuses to attack, right? Commanders would have so much attack on their kit. We can look at a commander like Alex, right? He has so much attack on his third skill and then even more on the fourth skill, and then to give him another 42% attack through crystal tech, it was just like there's diminishing returns to bonus points there, where you'd rather have a point somewhere else, right? And that's why health is so valuable. And a similar sort of thing happens with skill damage. The thing is that there's a lot less skill damage bonus in the game, right? And YSG is kind of an exception there. Like, he just gives you flat out 62%, which is insane. Okay, that's why there's a little bit of a difference there, because of the diminishing returns. So then we have to ask ourselves, okay, well, how can we test the difference here? Well, the first thing that I did is I decided to test with a really weak commander, and that is Centurion, right? He has a very easy to understand damage factor. It is a 100 damage factor, right? And it's skill damage, so you could just slap on, you know, an extra couple of percent of skill damage, then remove that, and then slap on another boost to skill damage, and you could compare the two. And I found that because Centurion actually deals such little damage, it was really hard to tell the difference between the damage output between the two, right? And in fact, in some cases the bonus seemed slightly better than the boost. I was like, okay, something's not right here. So then I moved on over to another vanilla commander such as Osman, who has the skill tree, and he also has a very vanilla skill damage factor to a single target, and it's a lot higher, right? It is literally 11 times higher than that of Centurion. So I thought this would be another good example, and nonetheless I was still unable to get a conclusive result here. A similar boost and a similar bonus, it didn't really move the needle at all. So that's when I thought, okay, we need to actually test with a real commander that people are going to use, and that's where we landed on Yi Seong-Gye. Okay, and the reason that Yi Seong-Gye is so good to test with is because he already has such a massive bonus to skill damage here, and so we should be able to see that diminishing return kick in a little bit with further increases to the bonus versus just slapping on 2% boost. Okay, so with that being said, we went ahead and we attacked a guardian. He was alive a minute ago, I swear. Now the way that I'm testing this is I'm only using 4 talent points to start off with, okay, and that's because there is absolutely zero randomness in this talent tree, right? I only have 4 points and it's just raw stats. Okay, so no randomness is involved there. The other thing that I made sure of was that Art of Archery was not proccing when I actually tested this, right? If I saw the increase in attack, I just retreated and I ran the test again, because obviously this is going to throw everything off, and I can prove that to you in the video. And besides that, besides Art of Archery, this is the only possible piece of randomness that could have been involved here, because everything else on his kit, of course, the third skill doesn't do anything in the field, fourth skill is just vanilla skill damage, this is going to be present all the time, and then the active skill is just hitting one target, it's just flat vanilla damage factor, right? Okay, we've controlled for randomness. There is zero randomness in this test, and I can prove that. I'll show you guys in just a second. And what we're going to do is we have the wedge formation on at all times. Okay, we also have Twilight Falls on, we also have Ottoman Empire. That's all constant, none of that is changing. That will be the case throughout all 3 tests here. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is launch our active skill with no boost and no bonus, so we can get a baseline test result. And again, we're making sure that Art of Archery does not proc during that time. So okay, let's take a look at the test result for 0 boost and 0 bonus. Okay, and what you'll see here as I go through turns 1 through 12, okay, I'll open all these for you so you know Art of Archery does not proc at all. I know you, I mean, this is kind of a bit ridiculous. I'm sure this isn't, you know, this, I'm not going to trial here. Okay, you guys can trust that I'm not deceiving you. Okay, but on turn 12, you know, turn 11 he says he's going to cast. Turn 12 you see that we cast Rain of Arrows. Okay, so my Yi Seong-Gye has 285,584 units, and I cast Rain of Arrows. The enemy has 39,230 units minus 534. Okay, and you see I lost 120, and I deal 6,033 units worth of damage to the enemy. So that is our baseline. Remember all these numbers. All right, write them down on a piece of paper. This is the number of units I have, this minus this is the number of units that the enemy has, the shaman. Okay, and this is the amount of damage that we dealt, 6,033. The next thing that I want to share with you guys is a 2% bonus to skill damage. How did I achieve a 2% bonus? Well, I came in here, and as you can see, I've changed things so far, but I put 2 points into tactical mastery. Simple stuff, right? You just put 2 points there and boom, you get 2% more skill damage of all types. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the result of that, and we'll see here that once again I'll expand all these so you see that there's no Art of Archery, there's no funny business going on here, there's no procking of random things. As we go through here, it is what it is. You can, I mean, you guys can trust I think this is a little ridiculous, but I know how very specific ROK players can get. Okay, so once again, turn 12, you'll see that my Yi Seong-Gye has the exact same number of units, 285,584. I casted this on the exact same turn, and the enemy has the exact same number of units, and they also lost the exact same number of units to my counterattack. Okay, so I have the same number of units, enemy has the same number of units, I'm casting on the exact same turn, and instead of 6,033 I am dealing 6,072. So we can see that there was an increase in the number of units that the enemy lost from my active skill, which is Rain of Arrows. In fact, if we calculate the percent change here, we start at 6,033, that was our baseline. Now we have 6,072, we calculate, and that is a 0.65% increase. Okay, and this is the sort of diminishing returns here when it comes to having so much extra bonus to skill damage. Okay, it is not a 2% increase in damage output because there's lots of other things being factored into the battle formula. Okay, so now we know what a 2% bonus is actually doing for damage output. It is 0.65% increase, and just to be clear, this is exclusive to this target with this commander in the given circumstances. I just want to be very clear with that. Okay, so now let me share with you guys how I tested the 2% boost for Yi Seong-Gye. Well, it's pretty simple. We actually came in and we removed the 2 points from tactical mastery, so we are back at our baseline, and then I slapped on the boiling blood armament from my Ragnar Prime. And the interesting thing here is that all he has is infantry stats, and I'm using archer units, and so the attributes here are not affecting anything at all. I'm not using any infantry, so all I'm getting is the boiling blood boost here. Now also, whenever the wielder's troop deals direct damage, there's this, you know, reducing incoming skill damage, whatever. We don't care about that. All we're caring about is how much damage we're dealing, not how much damage we're taking. Okay, the only thing that's changed now is I lost my 2% bonus and I gained a 2% boost. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what the test result shows for this one. Okay, let's come on down here, and once again I will go through all 12 turns so you can see that there is nothing, no funny business, no instant procs, no art of archery, nothing crazy. I have that 10% defense item on, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so here we are on turn 12. I'm casting my active skill on the exact same turn. You'll see that I have the exact same number of units. You'll see the enemy has the exact same number of units, and they lose the same number of units to my counterattack, except now my Rain of Arrows active skill deals 6,153 units. So as you can see, the 2% boost is more powerful than the 2% bonus. And once again, if we come to the percent change calculator, we'll start with our baseline. That was with no boost, no bonus, and this is with the 2% boost, and you will see that it is about a 2% increase. Right now, the reason that it's slightly below 2% is because you can't have fractions of troop, and so the game probably just picks whatever troop number is closest to 2%, right? And so it comes out to be 1.99%. It's 2%, right? Here you can see that a 2% boost to skill damage actually increases your damage output by exactly 2%. Okay, every single time, no matter how much bonus you have, which is actually insane. And so what we can learn here is that, first of all, everything that Chadsky said in his video is correct, but now we have verified 100% certain, it is proven fact with numbers in game, real game testing. We know that a 2% boost is much better than a 2% bonus, at least for Yi Seong-Gye. Okay, so now that we know the difference and we can conclusively prove that in the game, what conclusions can we draw from this? Right, the answer is that if you are looking to get something like Hunter, but you were holding off because you're thinking like, oh, a 5% boost to skill damage, I mean, that's basically just Twilight Falls, right? Like, that's basically just Ottoman Empire. It's really nothing crazy. No, actually, no, this is way better than Twilight Falls. It is way better than the 5% bonus on Ottoman Empire. Hunter is way better because it's a boost. Okay, so if you were holding off thinking that Hunter wasn't super good, I'm telling you now, it is super good. It is actually super good. Okay, the other thing that you need to know about a boost versus a bonus is that you are better off, like, let's say that you only have one Hunter, right? You should put your Hunter inscription on whatever pair of commanders has the highest bonus already. Okay, because again, it is multiplicative. The more bonus that you have, the more that boost is boosting, right? The more that it's going to take an effect, right? And so, you know, if you look at somebody like, let's say you have Emperor Qin with Zhuge Liang, right? This commander pairing, there's no bonus to skill damage on our Emperor Qin, right? You'll see here that there's lots of damage output, right? Like, the damage output is actually insane here, right? But there's no actual bonus to skill damage here. You do have a small bonus to skill damage on Emperor Qin, in the form of the third skill. You have a 20% bonus to skill damage. Also, you have the skill tree, and so there's a small amount of bonus to skill damage here as well, right? So there's not none, but it's a small amount of bonus to skill damage. You have some here as well. That's one army, right? If your second army is something like I don't know, let's say it's Herman Prime with Yi Seong-Gye, well, all of a sudden you have a 20% bonus to AoE on Herman Prime, and you have a 62% bonus from Yi Seong-Gye's fourth skill plus relic, right? So you actually have a way bigger bonus on the Herman Yi Seong-Gye than you do Emperor Qin with Zhuge Liang. So in that way, it might be more impactful to put your hunter on the army that has a smaller bonus. Now, the downside to that is that the total damage output of Emperor Qin with Zhuge Liang is probably much higher. I haven't done the math, right? I haven't done the math, but like, you're casting so often, it's actually insane. And so I'm not going to sit here and say that hunter on Emperor Qin is bad, because like, objectively it's super powerful, right? Like, I'm not telling you that, but I'm just using this as an example, a little bit of a nuanced example of like, if you have a choice between this pairing has a 25% bonus to skill damage and this pairing has, you know, an 85% bonus to skill damage, you might consider putting the hunter on the one that already has an 85% bonus, because it's going to elevate it by even more because it's multiplicative, right? The same thing goes for things like Toppler, right? If you look at all of the special and rare inscriptions in the game, they all say boost, okay? Unless I'm missing something, I'm pretty sure that's the only source of boosts in Rise of Kingdoms is rare and special inscriptions, and that's what makes them so powerful, okay? But if you look at Toppler, for example, on the pincer formation, this is the same thing, 5% boost to smite damage. And so if you have two commander pairs, let's say you're running Tai Chi with William Wallace, right, and you're running your Liu Che with Chook or something like that, right? So let's take a look here. Chook has a 15% bonus to normal damage, and if you're pairing him with your Liu Che, that's got another 10% bonus to normal damage, so a total of 25% bonus to normal damage. Your Bai Chi with William Wallace has a 10% bonus to normal damage on Bai Chi's fourth skill, and your William Wallace has a 20% bonus effectively to normal damage or smite damage on the fourth skill, right? Plus whatever you have on the third skill when this actually does proc, right? This is a 40% damage increase. So in this case, your Bai Chi William Wallace has at least plus 30% normal damage, right? We have 20 here and we have 10 here, whereas you have 15 plus 10 for the Liu Che Chook, so that's plus 25%, right? And so in this case, if you only have one Toppler, then you better put it on your Bai Chi William Wallace, because it's just going to perform better there, right? It's going to give you a bigger boost to your damage output, and it makes sense why that would be the case. Now, just as a final point of discussion here, I actually reached out to creator support and I asked them to kind of explain to me the difference between boost and bonus, right? And they told me that there is actually no difference. They actually responded and said there is functionally zero difference between boost and bonus. And so it was a little bit frustrating, because like, clearly that's not true, right? If there's something wrong with my testing, you can let me know in the comment section below. From what I can tell, I showed you the unit numbers are exactly the same. I casted the same active skill on the same turn every single time. Everything was constant except for the 2% boost versus bonus. I feel like I've accounted for all types of randomness, but they responded to me and said that it was all like, it's not. They said that boost and bonus are equivalent, that the wording change is irrelevant, that they are exactly the same. And so the part that's kind of annoying here is that it's like pretty clear that that's not true, right? This is kind of another reason why, you know, whenever there's a new commander reveal, everyone's always rushing to VIP support to ask them questions, and it's like, guys, like, you know, take everything that you get from support with a grain of salt. It's not that the support is intentionally wrong, it's not that support is intentionally misleading you, and it's not that I think support should know all the answers, right? Truthfully, the game is extremely complex and it's almost 7 years old, so there's like 7 years worth of commanders, equipment, and all this other mechanics and interactions and all this other stuff, right? It's unreasonable to assume that VIP support would know every little detail about every little thing in the game, right? And I also don't think that they're intentionally lying. I think what's happening is, you know, they're either making assumptions because they have just so many support tickets that they're dealing with that it's overwhelming, and they have to answer with what is, you know, helpful generally but is most likely true, right? But it is disappointing, right? That's kind of the final thing that I wanted to land on here, and that's why I always tell people in it, and I've said this for years now, okay? Support is as helpful as they can be, but I would always take what you get from them with a grain of salt, right? They can't possibly know everything about everything. It's impossible. The game is too complex. Trust me, it is my job to know this game, and it's too complex to know everything at all times. It is what it is. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to leave you guys with. All right, next time a new commander gets revealed, don't bombard support with questions, because even if they give you an answer, it might not be 100% accurate, and we're gonna have to test it anyway. So it's like there's no point in wasting their time and yours, you know what I mean? And then you spread rumors, and then it's like this whole thing. Okay, wait a minute, it's Omniarch from the future, and we have a new response from the support team. So basically what I did is I took all of the information from this video, I took the screenshots, and I sent it over to them, and I said, hey, actually it is different. Boosts and bonuses are different in game, and they were finally able to reach out to the relevant dev team members to get us the correct answer. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. After reconfirming with our development team regarding skill damage calculations, we apologize for any previous misinformation. The effects of skill damage increase/decrease and skill damage amplification/resistance operate similarly, applying internal summation but external multiplication. Okay, so they're similar, but they're not the same. And in this case, that is what we discovered. So example scenario, when a unit has plus 20% skill damage and plus 15% skill damage amplification, this is boost right here. Okay, so this is bonus, this is boost. I think the difference in terminology just comes to a translation thing, right? And the target has skill damage received minus 10% and skill damage resistance plus 5%. The final damage formula is base skill damage, so for YSG that's 1700, okay, times 1 plus the 20% boost minus the 10% skill damage taken reduction times 1 plus 15% amplification minus 5% resistance. Okay, so that's what you can see in the brackets here. So again, this confirms that we have the additive nature of bonus, the subtractive nature of skill damage taken reduction, and then the multiplicative nature of boosts and resistances. Okay, so again, that is the conclusion that we already arrived at in this video through our testing. So now everything lines up perfectly, but it is still the case, and I do just want to warn you guys again, if you reach out to support with questions, especially about things that aren't even in the game yet, like when they tease a new commander, don't take any just, you know, they can't possibly know the answer to everything. Okay, it's not their fault, they're just doing their best, and it is what it is. However, their answer does bring up a point that I should actually touch on here, and this goes without saying, but if you look in the wedge formation, the balanced inscription says increases the normal damage resistance of the wielder's troop by 3.5%. okay, and resistance is not something that we touched on in this video, but think of resistance as the opposite of boost. Okay, so it is multiplicative in nature still, but it is reducing the damage that you take. Okay, now the difference is that resistance has a counterpart called skill damage taken reduction. Okay, so if you look at Boudica's third skill, it says skill damage taken reduction 25%. okay, so the skill damage taken reduction is subtractive, right? It is just part of that regular part of the battle formula, whereas resistance is multiplicative, as you saw from support's answer. Okay, so when we're looking at the special and rare inscriptions, whenever you see boost and resistance, they are two sides of the same coin. They are both multiplicative in the damage formula, and that is once again why the special and rare inscriptions are so good in Rise of Kingdoms. So anyway, with all that being said, guys, hopefully I have helped you understand the difference between boost and bonus. Again, I want to shout out Chadsky. He's the person that, you know, I saw it in my comments, and then he's the one that I had a video about it. So, you know, shout out to him. Hopefully he doesn't take offense to me actually testing his work. I think, you know, it doesn't hurt to have multiple people testing multiple things. And if you guys made it all the way to the end of this video, make sure you drop a thumbs up on it. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms video, and comment down below your thoughts on the boost versus bonus thing. Did you already know this? Have you tested this yourself? Was this surprising to you that they are different? Did you think that they were the same? Hopefully this information helps you make educated investments into your account and into your armaments, and whether or not you should get hunter versus toppler versus whatever. Hopefully that helps you guys out a lot, and if it does, again, thumbs up really helps the channel. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.